Alright, today we're going to do a pretty expensive little test shoot and review on this Springfield Hellion today. I'll go over the features in just a second, but we're going to do some somewhat rapid fire tactical shooting out here, different targets out there. I'll zoom in and show you. We're going to get this optic zeroed. I'm also going to do some shots with just the iron sights. I'll show you that in just a second, as well as the LPVO we have mounted up there. And then I'll be going out to a longer range in this video where we're going to shoot at several hundred yards. I'm going to see how far I can actually reach out with just the iron sights, and then at least 400 yards with the LPVO, if not 500. And then we're also going to do a little accuracy test because I guess this is supposed to be one of the more accurate bullpups. So I got a good array of ammunition to test. That way we can actually see its true potential. Hopefully something, I'm sure something out of these options I have here it's going to like. But we got some PMC Bronze 223. Got the X-Tax here, the green tips. Got some Frontier 55 grain. Then we got 68 grain bolt tail hollow point match, 75 grain match, and then some 55 grain ballistic tip hand loads here to try as well. So we'll see what kind of groups we can get once I'm out at the other range. And I need to thank my buddy John for loaning this today for the review video, and my other buddy John at Fuku YT. He has a little YouTube channel, go check it out, for letting us use the range today.
And I had no idea he changed his name to Toenail Clippings.
So interesting little fact about the Hellion, this is actually an import. So even though it says Springfield Hellion on it, it is actually a rifle known as the VHS-2, and it's what the Croatian military uses. So interesting little fact there that not everybody knows about those. So it comes with carry case here. However, I did notice if you put an LPVO up on there, it does not fit in the case. You would have to put a pretty low profile red dot to be able to zip it up in the case that it comes with. Otherwise, a higher mounted red dot on there is not going to fit in the case either. But if you don't have a high mounted optic on there, it will fit in the included case for you there. I'm running a 20 round mag today to stay YouTube compliant. Go over some of the standout features real quick here, and then we'll get to shooting here. So it's fully ambi. Fire safety right there. Again, everything's fully ambi, so you're going to have it on both sides. You got an M-lock guard there, slots on the bottom, slots on the side. Fully ambi charging handle. You can flip it whichever way, and this is non-reciprocating, so you can flip whichever way you want to do it to charge it, and then you can even put your fingers up through here and it's not going to whack you because it's non-reciprocating. Same thing with the ejection port. It is fully ambi as well, and both sides have a dust cover. Your stock is adjustable for length. I want to clear up something. Some people think that this cheek riser here, I guess you wouldn't even call it that because it's not adjustable. I'm going to call it a cheek rest. Anyways, there's some speculation. Some people say it's adjustable and some say it don't. It is not adjustable, so it does move, but that is to aid in being able to adjust this thing, and then also for takedown. So it is not actually it's not an adjustable cheek weld. So your mag release is here, and then when you're on an empty mag and you insert a new one to chamber the round, you just pull this guy here and it'll chamber the round. Like I said, it's got integrated front and rear sights. These things are actually really cool. I'll show them in more depth after I get the scope off of here. We're going to shoot iron sights first. I just wanted to scope up for the thumbnail, and then we're going to put it back on. But you see kind of a little revolver wheel there, and that big one there is for close range, and then it's actually marked. Again, I'll show you a little bit later in the video for different ranges between 1 to 200 meters, 300 meters or yards. I'm not sure if it's in meters or yards, 400, 500, etc. And it's fully adjustable without tools. Same thing with the front sight. They're flip up. It's got a little wheel in here that you can turn it to make your elevation higher or lower. So basically you zero it, and then it gives you the appropriate peep sight there for the different ranges, and you can turn it with your finger. Full rail, as you can see there, which also doubles as a handle. Of course, it's got the numbered slots. And today, when we are running the scope, we're just using Vortex Strike Eagle 1:8x24. Ambi sling mount as well. This one rotates. You got the exact same thing on the other side. And then there's your other mounting point on the buttstock there. Again, same thing on the other side. Nice textured grip here, and it appears that it's got a little storage compartment in there as well. Lastly, she is threaded, comes with a flash hider there, and again, a toolless adjustable gas block here. You just press in and turn it. It's hard for me to do one-handed. It's under tension here. And that's how you do that. So it's got two settings, one just for regular rounds and then the other one for suppressed if you're going to run it suppressed. Alright, we're going to start out with the factory irons like I'd said, and I don't think I can hope to show you what it looks like through there because I can't get the camera low enough and all that. I'd have to actually, I don't even know if it would focus even if I did disassemble it. But, you know, basically peep sight setup. Again, they're flip up, you press the button and they'll flip up, and then obviously they fold flush and out of the way. So, if I can get a focus, there's your front sight. I made it look way bigger there because I zoomed in on it. But as you can see there, like I said, it's adjustable. I don't know if you could hear that clicking, but you can just spin that to go up or down. And then here's what I was talking about with the rear sight. So again, obviously it's peep sight. You can see it says 0 there, so basically close range. And then if you turn it 1 to 2, again, I don't know if it means meters or yards, but you know, close enough. It actually changes the location of your little peep sight there. For the distance, 3 is going to be 300 meters or yards, 4, 5. So like I said, I'm going to try and see. I feel like my eyes are good enough at least to get out 300 yards with just the irons, so we'll definitely have that coming up. And then you can adjust your windage with this guy here. It's got like little, there it goes. There's like little nub clicks in between. So I actually really like the sights, and especially that they're fully adjustable without tools. That's awesome. So we're going to start with the irons, like I said, and then I'll throw the scope up once I'm done messing around with the iron sights at this location, and we're going to do iron sights at the other location as well. But I got the target out there about 20-25 yards. I'm going to check and see. This isn't unfired, so these are not only first shots for me with this thing, but first shots for it in general. It's not been previously fired, so I need to check the sights and see if we need to make any adjustments here. Alright, as I showed you guys, that is a fresh target, so we'll go ahead and aim center mass and see where she's hitting for us there. See if I can capture this for you. Gotta turn my safety off. Alright, where did we hit? Okay, so I'm low and a little bit right, so gotta work on those sights a little bit. Alright, gave her a few clicks there. Let's see where she's at now. Okay, getting closer. Pretty much the same spot again. I mean, it's only 20 yards, but still, I'm overlaying bullet holes there. Alright, I went ahead and moved her out 50 yards there so we can get our 0 finalized. So I'm just going to have you guys zoomed in for that. Also, I need zoomed in so I can see where I'm hitting. Alright, that's probably on there. I am having difficulty seeing because of my eyesight. If I take my glasses off, I'm able to focus on the target better through that peep sight. If I put my glasses on, then it focuses my eyeball on the front sight but makes the target blurry for me. So there's no happy medium for me there. So I'm not going to be able to print tight groups even at 50 yards there with the iron sights, just due to my own eye conditions. So that should be good there. About right where I was aiming. Again, everything's fuzzy, blurry looking to me, so I'm kind of just covering the center with that front post there. So I wouldn't even say it's high. It's probably dead on. That's probably closer to where I had that front sight. But the bullet may continue to rise a little out to 100 yards. Actually, we can probably check that real quick. Where is my gong? Man, I don't even know if I can see it. I need it painted a different color. Let's see if I can get a hit on that real quick. It'll kind of tell me if it's high, low, or whatever, if I can see it. And is that high shot? I gotta review the footage to see where it hit there. Yeah, okay, you guys saw it there. It did hit towards the top, and I was aiming in the center, so I do need to drop it down a little bit. Like I said, zeroing for 20 yards is just way too close. You're gonna have, you know, bullet rise further out and whatnot. So I'm gonna give her a few clicks down there. That way it's not so high. I'm okay if it's like 2 or 3 inches high at 100, but that's several inches high. So I'll give her a few clicks down, and we should be ready to hit the steel out here. Alright, I did that. I brought the front down some, a few clicks, and let me show you here. I already showed you guys the mag release, but now that we're empty here on this little 10 rounder, I wanted to show you. So you press that, remove your mag. Again, this is a 20 round mag here. I need to be an octopus, I ain't got enough arms. And then you pull this guy here to chamber your next round, like so. I'll do my best so you guys can see these. They're kind of hidden in the grass here. We've had torrential rains. We've actually had historic flooding here like we've never had before. And so it's been really difficult to get out and mow and whatnot. So some of these are hiding in the grass that's growing like weeds. Got a guy there at 25 yards. That one's broke, so I'm not going to hit that. Then we got about an 8-inch plate hanging there next to my target at 50. That half scale silhouette there is at 75. And then obviously I got my gong over there at 100 yards. Yeah, to take my glasses off there, like I said, at through those peep sights, it's just like freaking blurry. I could actually see better without my glasses looking through that, but you know, peep sight kind of focuses your eye for you there, so that's probably why. But you know, I was getting out there 100 yards, no problem, freehand, so. Go for the head on that guy. $50-yard swinger. $75-yard silhouette behind it. Get a couple more in here and we'll go for that 100-yard again. Obviously very windy today. So I'm still going to try some longer range iron sight shots once we get down to the other range, but I'm going to go ahead and throw the scope up here and get this thing zeroed.
It's pretty much zeroed, but check out these two shots right here, dot on the left.
Alright, I should be able to run faster with this LPVO up on here now, and I'm actually just going to use it on 1x magnification since I'm starting out close on that first guy there by the tree at 25 yards. Let's see how much faster I can run from the bag now, supported. I'll be on 2x magnification now. I usually don't shoot this much ammo in a review, but I'm having fun with this thing. And that's honestly a little slower than I thought I would run, but this thing is kind of rearward heavy, so when you rest it on the bag like I just did there, it's kind of letting it teeter-totter back and forth more, as opposed to standing or crouching with it shouldered. It doesn't do that so much, but off a bag, due to the rearward weight bias there, it's kind of doing a teeter-totter thing on me. So it took a little extra time for me to recover between the shots, otherwise I would have ran faster. Which, by the way, if I didn't mention in the video by now, she weighs 8 pounds, so a little heavy there, but that's kind of par for the course with bullpups. They have a little extra materials and whatnot, so they're usually a little heavier than your standard AR. Alright, we're getting ready to head down to the other range here, but real quick, let's go over this trigger. So like I was saying, it's a pretty terrible trigger for trying to shoot tight precision groups, but surprisingly, I've been doing great at 50 yards at least.
Trigger feels just fine doing that tactical type shooting, but when you try to bench rush shoot and slow pull throughs, you notice the problem. So it's just fine for the kind of activities we were just doing there, but if you're actually trying to make precision shots with it, not ideal.
So I will attempt to get a trigger weight for you guys, but I want to show you kind of how it works. So it's got a lot of take up here. And then once you find the wall there, it's got a lot of creep after that. So we'll go ahead and start pulling through now. And then right there, you can see it's got all that creep. Oops. Chamber. Forgot I got a mag in here, got to release it. I'm using the mag to kind of help prop it up. It's an empty mag, obviously. But anyways, as you start to pull through, right about there, it actually gets heavier, and it's pretty heavy. And then you got to pull through that heaviness with some more creep, and then it finally breaks. All right, pulling through. There's the take up. We're at 2 pounds, 3 pounds. There's the other creep, and then it gets heavy right there. We're at 6 pounds, 11 ounces. Try it one more time. £6.9. So yeah, it's up there. So didn't seem to be an issue. Like I said, I mean, I'm used to shooting pretty terrible mil-spec triggers and whatnot, and triggers even heavier than this, having to shoot groups with like shotguns and stuff. So hopefully I can still do good down at 100 yards as I did 50 here. So we can do that accuracy test with the different lot of ammunition I have here and see how tight this thing will print at 100 yards. So I'll see you guys down there. Alright, down here on the rifle range, I got that 16-inch gong set up there. 300 yards. As a laser rangefinder confirmed 300. I painted most of it white so I could see it there. So I think we'll start out zoomed in here. That way if I'm missing, I can see how I need to adjust my aim. But I spun that guy back there. If I could hold this. As you can see, it's on the 3 there. And we're at 300 yards. All right. Well, I found where to hold, and we got 5 in a row there. Alright, got the scope thrown back up there. We might have a slight shift in point of impact, but hopefully it'll mostly hold 0 for us, taking it off, putting it back on. So we got my shoot and see splatter target, whatever you'd call it, down there. 100 yards, so we're going to start grouping this thing, see how well I can do at 100. I'm going to start off with this hand load here. These are marked red, so it's that information on the top there with the red dot. See how those do. Then we'll try these Frontier, which is what I was mostly using, especially towards the end there at the other range we just came from that was shooting so well. So we'll go follow it up with that 55. I'm going to try some 55 grain PMC Bronze 223. Then the PMC X-Tac, these are the green tips, 62 grain M855. I'm going to try these 68 grains, which my Bear Creek upper really likes, with the 1-8 twist to shoot these sub MOA if I do my part. And then I'm going to try the 75 grain there as well. Now this is a 1-7 twist barrel, so it should prefer these heavier loads, but I was blown away with what it was doing at 50 with the 55 grain, so we'll see what happens.
The video's getting long, so I'm going to go ahead and speed up all these shots for you guys. So as you can see there, we were kind of rounding the target. That last group there was towards the top right of the target. That was a 75 grain. I'll go over that in just a moment and why I decided to do it that way. But you're going to see one more group here because that bottom group there, the 68 grain, I was surprised that it did as bad as it did. And I thought maybe I threw that flyer off to the left there because the other 4, it looks like 2 holes on the right there at that bottom dot, but that's actually 2 touching twice and then that 1 flyer off to the left. So this group here you're about to see here, which all this will be explained in just a moment and shown in detail and measured and all that. It was just to recheck that 68 grain group. And these were all 5-shot groups. If you heard extra shots, it's because I was not alone at the range this day. There was other marksmen out here shooting as well. These are 300-yard shots again on that gong, but this time with the LPVO mounted up. All hits. Thought you might enjoy this clay pigeon shot at 100 yards. Alright, so here's our target here, and I know it's looking like a big old mess there, but like I said, I have them all accounted for. So usually when I shoot rifles at groups at 100 yards, I'm able to stick it inside of the V-notch in that bag and get it to hold pretty dang steady. However, with this bullpup, it was too short. If I'd done that, the muzzle blast would have been inside the bag and blew up my bag, so I had no option but to use basically just a little corner of the bag, which made me quite unstable. So all these groups you see here, if I was able to actually put it through the bag like a regular AR, they would certainly improve, let alone if you lock it down, strap it down into like a lead sled or something like that and take all human error out of the equation. I feel like it would probably print groups half the size of what I achieved here. I just did not have a steady enough rest here, unfortunately. I did not anticipate that it would not fit inside the bag without blowing it to pieces, so it is what it is, but you could definitely improve on these groups. So we started out with the 55 grain ballistic tip hand loads, and I was actually aiming at the left dot, but I stated that when we removed the scope and then put it back on, there might be a shift in point of impact, which it seems there was. So obviously you can see there was shooting very high, but that was our first group aiming at the left dot with 55 grain hand loads, and they're about 5-6 inches high there. So then I gave the scope a bunch of clicks down, and we switched over to the Frontier 55 grain FMJ, again aiming at the dot on the left, and then there's the resulting group from that. Then we went up to the top dot, shot the 55 grain 223 PMC bronze. Then aiming at the right dot, we fired the PMC X-Tac 62 grain green tips. Then we went to the bottom dot with the Frontier 68 grain boat tail hollow point match. And then I was actually aiming at the center oval with the 75 grain Frontier match, and it went high right, so vastly different point of impact on those. And then, as I just stated a minute or two ago in the video, I wondered if I threw that one left flyer on that bottom group with that 68 grain stuff. So I fired one more group with those, again aiming at the center oval, and that's where everything got really clustered up over there and hard to tell what's what. But like I said, I had that accounted for, so let's go through these now. 55 grain hand load, the Frontier 55 grain, PMC Bronze 223 55 grain, 62 grain green tips, that's 3-inch group there, X-Tac. Then there's the 68 grain boat tail hollow point by Frontier. Then the 75 grain here, best group, 2-inch. There's one shot under the tape measure. And then here was that second group with the 68 grains again. So our best performers were the 75 grain, which again totally makes sense because it's a 1-in-7 twist barrel, so it should like the heavier loads. However, I was surprised it didn't really like the 68 grains. It did, except for it like throwing flyers. Like I said, my 1-8 Bear Creek loves those things, shoots them about 1 inch down there at 100. But surprisingly, the 55 grain stuff, it didn't like the PMC 223 too terribly much, but the hand loads did pretty good. And then, like I said earlier, it was shooting that Frontier 55 grain FMJ pretty well also. So it did really well with that 55 grain stuff, considering it's a 1-in-7 twist and should like heavier bullets. Like I said, perfect everything, and you could probably cut the groups I got in half. So the fact that I was getting just over 2 inches with those 55 grainers means they would probably be just over 1 inch if you strapped her down to a lead sled there. So that's dang good for a 1-in-7 to shoot 55 grain stuff. And then our best group, it was like, I think it was like 1.8 inches center to center, or just on the edge of 2 inches there if you went edge to edge with the 75 grainers. So that would be our MOA, if not sub MOA group there, with all human error removed. Again, it was just difficult for me to be steady hanging off that little corner of the bag there. I was wiggling all over the place. And I've actually seen 1 or 2 other channels get pretty dang close to 1-inch groups with this thing. So I think with the ammo it likes and all human error removed, it's definitely an MOA gun. Not really what it's made for, but it's nice to know it's capable. So overall, I actually really like this thing. I'm not a huge bullpup fan. But this was definitely the nicest, to me at least, bullpup I've shot. I've not shot a ton of them, but I think this is the 3rd or 4th one. Well, I guess a Chris Vector isn't really a bullpup, but it sure feels like one. So you take the Vector out of there, then this is the third bullpup that I've shot, and this one's definitely my favorite. And I'm comparing that to a IWI Tavor also. I definitely like this thing more than the Tavor. And actually, I'll go ahead and link that review in the description here if you want to check that one out. I think the only thing I liked about the Tavor more was the, I don't know what you would call it since it's not a handle, the chamber charging mechanism. I like that better on the Tavor. It was a lot easier to hit it without looking, whereas this thing, or even fumbling around, the little squeeze thing on the Hellion, I don't really care for that, but everything else I like on the Hellion a lot better than the Tavor. Like I said, the Hellion's got a lot of cool features. You know, it's fully ambient everything, non-reciprocating. You know, you got your improvised handle there, full rail. I actually really like the iron sights on the Hellion here, especially compared to the Tavor. Adjustable stock, you gotta love that. Trigger still sucks, but so do all bullpups. Then as far as bullpups go, she's pretty dang accurate. But overall, just I like a lot of the features, like I said, but the ergonomics overall, it just fits me a lot better and feels a lot more natural, except for the charging handle or charger squeezer or whatever you would call it on this. That does feel a little out of place, but everything else feels great. But yeah, if you're looking at getting a 5.56 bullpup, I would definitely recommend checking out the Hellion. It's my favorite so far. If you're thinking about the Tavor as well, like I said, I'll put a link in the description to that review video if you want to check that out. For any of the products you see me use in my videos and way more, links in the video description for all that. And for products I cannot link to on YouTube, make sure you check out my campsite page, which is also linked under the video or in the About section on the main page. But I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. It's gotten way too long, way too much rambling. So thanks for stopping by and checking this one out today, guys. I really appreciate it. And I hope to catch you on the next one.